Hello scholars, I welcome you back to class. In this class, we shall be discussing the characters in the play Addiction. The major character who is the protagonist of the play is Sydney. He is Richard and Mrs. Esther's son. Mr. Israel is his foster father. Sydney is Lucia and William's brother. He is described as very tall, fearless and brave. Sydney is the closest to Mr. Israel. He discovers that Mr. Israel has another wife. Sydney is a conformist and gullible. He was influenced by Taiwo and Kendi into smoking and drinking. Sydney, after revealing that Mr. Israel is not their biological father, on his sick bed, died as a result of acute liver and lung cancer which he contracted
from smoking and drinking.
The next character is Williams. Williams is Mrs. Esther and Richard's son. Williams, Sydney and Lucy are triplets. Williams feels that Mr. Israel only cares about his job. Williams and Lucia are repeating classes because they failed their exams. He accompanies his mother to visit Sydney in the hospital. Lucia is one of the triplets. She is Mrs. Esther and Richard's only daughter. Lucia fails her examination, which makes her repeat a class. Lucia was the one who takes care of Sydney when he becomes ill and admitted in the hospital. Looking at another major character, which is Mrs. Esther. Mrs. Esther is Richard's girlfriend, Mr. Israel's second wife, and Sydney, Williams, and Lucia's mother. She is Amanda's friend. Mrs. Esther is deceitful. She pins Richard's pregnancy on Mr. Israel as advised by Amanda. She deceived Mr. Israel into believing the pregnancy is for him. Mrs. Esther brainwashes her children that Mr. Israel does not love or care for them. Looking at another character, Amanda. Amanda is Mrs. Esther's friend. She is deceitful. She advised Mrs. Esther to pin her pregnancy on Mr. Israel. She is a club girl. Mr. Israel is Doris and Mrs. Esther's husband. He is Sydney, Williams, and Lucia's foster father. Mr. Israel makes Doris carry out an abortion, which resulted into their childlessness after marriage. Mr. Israel is a polygamous man. He betrayed his first wife, Doris, by marrying a second wife, who is Mrs. Esther. Mr. Israel is wealthy and influential, which enables him to maintain 2 homes. Mr. Israel becomes devastated at the end of the play, discovering that the children he had been taking care of are not actually his, but his brother-in-law's children. Doris is Mr. Israel's first wife and Richard's sister. She has an adopted daughter. She does not have a biological child because her womb was damaged as a result of abortion she committed. Doris is compassionate and supportive of Mr. Israel. She rebukes Richard for abandoning and denying Esther's pregnancy. Now moving on to Taiwo and Kendi. Taiwo and Kendi are twins. They are Sydney's friend. Sydney, Lucia, Williams, Taiwo and Kendi attend the same school. Taiwo and Kendi are from a broken home. The duo of Taiwo and Kendi
Are friends of Sydney.
they lure him into smoking and drinking. Now looking at the character of Richard Norbert. Richard Norbert is Doris' brother and Mrs. Esther's boyfriend. He is Mr. Israel's brother-in-law. After he impregnated Mrs. Esther, he rejected her, denied her pregnancy, and traveled to Germany. After some years, Richard is deported from Germany, living without his 4 children and his property. And lastly, looking at the character of Andrew. Andrew is a club member, a youth club member. He's a leader of drug-free club. He and other club members come to Sydney School to create awareness on the dangers of drug abuse. He narrated how his involvement in drugs in the university almost led to his death. These are the major characters employed in the play. Thank you for watching. See you in the next class. Bye.